your guys' revenue? I saw the estimated, but what's the revenue up to this point for the year?
So for this year, we've only generated about $5 revenue, and that's just because those stores are smaller, lower transaction stores. But currently, based on contracts that are out there and our current pipeline, we are on target to make the number for this year.
Okay.
Can you explain the JDA version in a little bit more detail? It sounds like it's a preload on their POS system. Are they paying you anything as a preload, or is it purely only license for the customer transaction?
Great question. So the JDA relationship, that took a very long time to work out. Working with these larger partners out there, it's constant bombardment trying to get your foot in the door. So with that deal, we were very fortunate that we actually found the right people at that company and worked out a great deal. So like Justin was saying, September release, first off, our technology is already embedded in that point of sale release. So when the customers go to upgrade, basically they have to say, we want this feature on. The customer contacts us, or JDA will contact us, and we basically assign them certain numbers in our system. It's ready to use. JDA is not paying us, the retailer is the one paying us. So we actually have a referral agreement with JDA on top of the OEM agreement that any referrals we receive, JDA does get commission for that, and that's pretty much it as far as that.
And in that agreement also, JDA will be doing the Tier 1 and Tier 2 support for our system in their POS.
I'll ask a rude question. Justin, you're at the business, is that right?
That's right.
You're CEO.
Correct.
Jason, why don't you give the presentation?
Today was actually kind of a complicated day. I wasn't even planning to be in the state. We've been so swamped, especially this year, ever since NRF for us, which is the largest retail show, that I'm traveling constantly every day throughout the week. And it was nowhere communicated as a requirement that the CEO gives a presentation. Justin's been doing great giving presentations for us. It was communicated that I did need to be here, so I scheduled some things around. I'll be up working late tonight, but I made myself available.
It's a good reason. Too many customers coming in for us, though.
You talk historically over IBM, Retalix, MCR, who's made a business model work where you're a preload on someone else's POS platform. I'm concerned that you're a feature as opposed to a company, and that if you do get traction, just like what Microsoft did and many other people running on top of their operating system, you'll be part of some JDA release and could go into the ether.
So that is a great question. In this space, it has been predominantly in the past that POS companies have then worked themselves in order to add, some additional requirements for retailers' request. Well, in that space, speaking with the POS companies, they're seeing so many requests that they can't meet all the demand anymore. So that's the reason that they're starting to add features like us. I mean, we're not the only feature being added to POS. We are a company, though, because of all the other services we provide as part of that connection. Some other features, just to note, that you'll be seeing that additions into point-of-sale companies is mobile coupon. POS companies aren't doing that themselves. What they're doing there is they're working with the mobile couponers that are out there to add that, to give the retailers what they want, but without having to go through the whole R&D development cost and things like that in order to be able to run it, because that's not their core competency.
I've spoken to some of the mobile couponing guys, and I think one of the concerns is
if it comes to prime time, it'll become their core competency. And that business has some stickiness on the back end in terms of clearing coupons and other things like that make a third party necessary. Again, I don't know if you've given thought to the network effect of your business and what are the switching costs for something like JDA in terms of developing their own functionality versus going with you?
And that's an excellent point. And actually, a little bit of story. Startup Lounge a year ago was there talking, pitching our company, a great idea. And one of the angels there asked me what's our biggest fear. And at that time, it was green behind the ears. And my fear was, consumer adoption rates. The consumers will use it, retailers are going to want it no matter what. And he looked at me like I'm an idiot, right? And I looked like Gary, and I said, no, your biggest fear should be exactly what you said. Why won't the POS companies do it themselves? So I took it upon myself at that time and took the risk and started calling these POS companies to find out, are you looking at doing this? If you are, why haven't you done it? And in fact, POS companies have had customers requesting it, but the main reason they haven't chose to do it, and again, it's all tie back to their core competency, is POS is their business in that space. All the other parts tied to what we do is not something they want to touch. Tied to the marketing aspects, tied to the emailing aspects, tied to the bounce backs and everything like that. All of our back end stuff is the part that they can't do.
If something goes wrong with the system and the receipt doesn't get where it needs to go, who owns the liability?
So we do own the liability on that. Just to note there, because of the way that our software has been developed and tying back into loyalty and signature capture devices, as of 1 year and we've been up and running in Stanford for a year, we have a 99.9999 delivery rate. When we do have that one bounce back, the system does alert our system admin and first sees if there's a simple error to be correcting the email, like the dot was in front of the comma or things like that. If there's more than that, that's always available, and the consumer can contact us to be able to resend out the receipt to them.
Another question: if your patent is issued, is Apple violating it?
Apple is not violating it because our patent is very focused on the receipt being delivered with a marketing message. So theirs is just they send a receipt right now. There's no marketing message associated. Now, if they start to do something more like Amazon's, where they make recommendations in that email with that receipt, then it would be in violation.
So it wouldn't block someone from just having a straight receipt delivery?
Correct.
You mentioned preloaded on JDA. Does that help you or hurt you with the other big POS systems?
It helps us because it validated us to the market. It has actually opened many doors to us to the biggest POS company and to the 6th largest one, which we are in similar talks with now. What it's really done is JDA has put marketing dollars behind pushing it because they're doing a grain push for the POS. They want to be first to market with that overall idea. So it's tied to like digital receipts, mobile coupon, and things like that. So by them doing that, we're basically seen as this is the company to go to for that.
Have your partner selling things in 50 states and international, a couple hundred countries. My experience at the Apple store is you go there, I spend way too much money there, and they give you a paper receipt and the option of also getting an email receipt. And when I asked, they said, well, there's a legal requirement, we have to give you a paper receipt. With 50 different jurisdictions out there with state commercial codes, when does the law come in with you?
So the law comes into play where it has to be given to you. It doesn't matter what format it's given to you. So we give you the option to have it either email or print. You do receive it no matter what. And that's actually very unique for what you're doing with the Apple Store because, again, I spend way too much money at the Apple Store myself. I haven't ever received a receipt from Apple Store besides through an email.
Ultimately, somebody has to sell the retailer an adoption of doing this. And it sounds like you're going to try to sell your fair share of retailers and maybe some of your partners will as well. But where I guess I'm going is to pivot off the earlier question of, is there got to be a certain number of stores or a certain transaction volume in a store for this to make sense? Because the cost of sale, if all you're going to get is $5 a month, I'm wondering if it's going to take you 3 years or 4 years to break even on a store sale.
Great question. And it wasn't up there, but we do have a couple different models associated with that. So, in the specialty retail space, that consists, and that's what we're focused on in 2010, that consists of, it could be a single store all the way up to 800 or 900 stores, right? So in that space, the transaction rate is going to vary based on the customer demographic that retailer has. So what we've really been focused on, and actually it's kind of interesting what's been coming to us, is those retailers that have the younger customer base, the high schoolers to the younger, the college students. And those are the ones that are really, adopting it in the first place. That's the reason, the survey we had up there, 62% adoption. There was just a third party conducting a survey online tied to this. They had an 86% of the people said that they would do it. It's really tied to that space, first off. So, that's how you start getting the revenue in that area. Now, for the smaller places, we actually set a flat fee up front because there's not really much cost for us on that. We use one box to hold a couple hundred retailers on it. So, for those, we only charge about $35 a month, so it's a flat cost. So, that's where we protect ourselves on that side.
A lot of the, especially retailers or small businesses, are using things like Constant Contact and other standard email marketing tools. Do they have to replace that system with yours, or do you? Can you replace their? Can you replace that functionality? Do you have to replace that functionality? Can you interface those systems with?
So right now, that's not our roadmap at all to replace that functionality. We're working with a couple of, actually pretty much most of the retailers we work with have some sort of email marketing system that they're using. So it's something else on top of that. Because what we're saying with email marketing is, yes, it's very inexpensive to do. Blast it out. I have all these emails. Number one, if the emails are incorrect, you're wasting money there. Number two, consumers are really getting sick of getting all those email marketing messages. They instantly delete it or go to spam. This is just something else. Yes, I'm not saying to turn off your email marketing, but over time, as you see your consumers are much more happy with this and it's a lot better to reach them, to turn it off over time.
This is a new marketing outlet, essentially, someplace that retailers now have a touch point they didn't have before, that they're able to communicate with their customers. And this is something a little more personal than, you won't have all your customers opted in to receive those marketing messages. But if a customer comes through and they say they opt in to receive that email receipt, well, then that's a point in time where a marketer, where the company has a touch point with the retailer, they can deliver a message to them.
Yeah, but on that point, when I shop online and get a lot of receipts back, I never open it. I never open email. I just stick it in a file.
Correct.
So, I guess the question is, at what point are you going to be able to validate that your marketing messages are getting through to the end user?
We are working on that right now, and we're actually experimenting with Stanford and the other chain to offer incentivized offers on that, specifically because the consumer choose to be green and also helps them save a couple pennies for that receipt. So some examples are, a tree was just planted for you because you chose the receipt. So it's additional incentives to get them open it. Or since we have line item data, we've started working with some of the brands to be able to add additional marketing coupons in there, and it's only special offers that would be associated by choosing a digital receipt.
And at that point, too, if we compare it to opening an email template and looking at that marketing message versus, say, maybe one of the spam marketing campaigns that they do. Those marketing campaigns, while they're reaching a vast number of majority of people, vast number of people compared to ours email receipts, the click-through rate of those is still only 2% or less. And that's delivered and open. So it's the numbers I think we have to compete with. I'd be very confident to say that it would have a much larger open read rate.
Jason, you don't need the JDA POS to use TransactionTree, is that correct? Or do you need to use their POS as of today?
So in order for a consumer to use our service as of today, the retailer has to have us integrated into their point-of-sale platform. So the ones that we've already currently done, fully tested, is JDA and Microsoft's point-of-sale platform. We are working on a couple of them right now. So as we bring those on, retailers that sign up with us, we either turn it on or send them a patch disk or things like that. And then when you go to that retailer, you're given the option. And that's how you know.
What percent of the market is that right now?
What do you mean? Which
JDA market share is JDA?
JDA has right about 10 to 12% market share. We are, like I said, working with one that has pretty much the number one market share right now as far as doing the same type of integration.
Okay. And if things don't go well with that, can they block what you do?
No, because if the relationships that we focus on trying to build with those companies is to lower our overhead, so have them do a lot of the work with us, compared to, yes, we can register and become ISVs with them and do the work ourselves, and I can bring an IBM and Oracle guy in-house in order to develop those things that we need to add.
Jason, could you talk about your background in the companies you've run before, specifically in any cases where you had private investors and what kind of multiple you generated for those investors?
Okay. So this is pretty much my first major startup. I came from IBM. I was actually trained on the third floor of this building. So I have a lot of experience in software background from IBM, putting together multiple different layers of software to meet a customer's pain or need. I focused in banking, retail, multiple industries, things like that, pretty much across the country and somewhat in the UK. Family-wise, my family has a vast majority of background in entrepreneurship throughout the state. We used to build tanks in World War II and things like that. The only prior startup that I've really done was something during college, which was called SV Productions, and we did car shows. We grew it from one car show a year up to 4. all the way down to the Georgia International Convention Center. So that was a pretty success. Money-wise, that was all bootstrapped. We raised money from sponsors to get advertisers and things like that.
You talked about Afterdoc, which is a local company here, and you've been around for quite some time. And are you really, the only difference is that you got a POS integration, and what happens if some of these current kind of receipt repository companies invest in POS integration?
Okay. Expected the question. Of course, for you guys that don't know, Afterbot is another company here that's been around since 2001, based on actually right up the street from us. Met with the CEO many times. I'll go as far as I can based on confidentiality agreements. So the key difference really, right? Afterbot ties into the back-end area of the system compared to we tie together the consumer and transactional data. They're more of they've changed what they tried to do, which was digital receipts back in 2001, 2002, and turned it more to a supply chain aspect, working directly with suppliers. So they communicate the information from the retail location to the supplier through their back-end integration of the retailers. How we're different is we're bringing the consumer data together with the transactional data, tying that, marrying it together in order for us to be able to produce the marketing message and things like that. Right now, I mean, they do have, they've done some work with it, but again, you can ask them. They've really been focused more on the supply chain.
We have time for one more. If you got it, if not, you guys are fine. Thank you. The team